Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. The show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, October 8th, 2016. This is episode 1329. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage process into the 21st century with a fast, easy, and completely online process. Check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/techguy. And by Jira Service Desk from Atlassian. Jira Service Desk delivers everything your IT team needs out of the box at a cost-effective price. For a free trial of Jira Service Desk, visit Atlassian.com/twit. And by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of SuperTank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit Epson.com/EcoTank to find out more. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Back from vacation, thanks to very much to Scott Wilkinson and Jason Snell, who filled in for me, did a great job. But I'm here and ready to take your calls, talking high tech. That's what we do on this show. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number, 888-827-5536. And you can call and ask a question, make a suggestion, make a comment, anything to do with tech, anything with a chip in it, at 8888 Ask Leo. We have a great website, too, techguylabs.com. You can also go there if you wish. And you'll find the phone number there. You'll find a link to the chat room there. Great article, by the way. Thank you, PC Magazine and John Kalish, for writing a really nice article about our chat room in PC Magazine last week. The chat room is kind of in some ways the unsung hero of this show. I've been doing this show, call-in technology show. It used to be call-in computer show since '91. Back in the last century, 1991. And at that time, it wasn't too difficult to do the show. It was my friend John C. Dvorak and I doing it, and we we could pretty much answer any question about Windows 3.0 or DOS 3.3, and that was pretty much all you ever got. Nobody asked about the internet. Nobody asked about smartphones or smartwatches or any of that stuff. There was no iPod. There were no MP3s. But even then, I said, we ought to have a chat room just so that people can kind of interact with us during the show. That's one of the things I like about talk radio, and I've always done talk radio, is because it's a two-way street. It's not just me sitting here gassing on. That's boring for me, boring for you. It's a conversation, and so the chat room adds to that conversation. It's a text-based screen that there are hundreds of other people in there, and you're all watching the show together and talking. But as the tech world got more and more complicated, it became more and more less of a luxury and more of a necessity. I sometimes say the chat room is my brain has been externalized. Many of the people in the chat room have been listening for years, and so a lot of times I've been doing this long enough. I've forgotten more than I know, but they remember. Somebody always, so I'll say, "What was that? Remember that thing that I talked about? What was the name of that?" And somebody in the chat room will know. Or you can call up with an obscure question, and chances are pretty good that somebody in the chat room has had that problem and solved it. So it's become a very useful adjunct to the party, and it's fun. It's the wiseacres, the smart kids who sit in the back of the class, They mouth off a little bit. So I get some of my best lines from them too. 8888 Ask Leo, or go to techguylabs.com and join us in the chat room. You can also find answers to your questions there, and audio and video of every show. After the show, we put that up there at techguylabs.com. Anything happened while I was gone? Oh, really? Yeah. So Google had an event this week. They announced a lot of stuff. They announced, some wag said, a copy of the iPhone, a copy of the Amazon Echo, a copy of the Eero Wi-Fi. What else? Oh, a copy of the Samsung Gear VR. I think those are all the things they announced. Copies of other things. But, Apple does the same thing. If you're a big company, you innovate, and I think Google's innovated a lot, but you also perfect. You take stuff that's out there and you say, I think we can make this better. So the Pixel phone will be interesting. I think increasingly, when people ask me which Android phone to get, I'm increasingly saying, get the Google version. Get the Google one. I'm starting to feel for Samsung. I'm watching the baseball playoffs, and you see all these a lot of Samsung ads. They don't mention the Note 7 anymore, do they? That was the phone that, they had a little minor problem with them kind of bursting into flames. And so they recalled them all. And now the latest is somebody on a Southwest Airlines flight with the new, supposedly fixed Galaxy Note 7 had his overheat and burst into flames. And they had to evacuate the plane. The Consumer Product Safety Commission and Samsung are investigating. We'll know more, I suppose. But if I'm a guy buying a phone, I'm not thinking about a Note 7 anymore. In fact, I'm thinking maybe not get a Samsung phone, right? And then I'm watching the Samsung ads, and I'm realizing all their other products require a Samsung phone. So the Samsung Watch, got to have a Samsung phone. The Samsung 360 camera, got to have a Samsung phone. The Gear VR, their virtual reality headset, got to have a Samsung phone. So they may have made a mistake. Apple's doing this too, where they tie everything into having their phone. If people are saying, well, I'm not going to buy the phone, it bursts into flames, that means the whole product line dies. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Anyway, for a number of reasons, I'm increasingly thinking, I think I'm going to be able to, this is a blessing for me, cut back to two phones a year. The new Apple phone and the new Google phone. You'll have one iOS, one Android. For me to cover both platforms, I need to do that. You have to, you probably would sensibly pick iOS or Android, and that makes it really simple. You don't have to go out and look at the LG or the Galaxy or the, it goes on and on, the Axon or the ZTE. All of these are very nice, but Google promises to keep their phone up to date, and with security issues being what they are, that's important. I feel like you could just trust Google. Now, I've ordered the Pixel phone. It won't be out till October 20th. I'll give you a better idea of this phone. Reputedly, the best camera they've ever put in an Android phone. That's high praise. This came from an independent rating authority, the DxO Mark, folks. I trust them. They say slightly better than even the new iPhone 7 and even than the Galaxy S7 or the Galaxy Note 7, which had excellent cameras. So nowadays, that's pretty important. I'm going to be interested in battery life. So we'll see. We'll see. But if you're going to ask me, I'll forestall the question. Which Android phone should I get? I'm pretty much, I think, from now on, just going to say, get the Google one. It's not cheaper. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I got a little sticker shock when they announced, and by the way, it's going to cost pretty much what the iPhone and the Galaxy phones cost. Starts at $650 for the 5-inch. You want the bigger phone, the XL, $750. And you add more memory, and pretty soon you're up to almost $1,000 on this thing. Holy cow. Holy cow. What is going on? Computer prices are dropping, right? Sub $500. You can buy a very nice Windows PC for $500. But the phone is almost twice as much. What? What? That's kind of upside down, isn't it? Anyway, we'll talk about that. I've had the iPhone 7. I took it with me on vacation, took a lot of pictures as I traveled around, and I guess I'll put them somewhere. Maybe we'll put them in the show notes. But very happy, very impressed with the iPhone 7, the iPhone 7 camera. Does a nice job. It's a nice, fast phone. Not a huge improvement, as I said earlier, over the old iPhone 6S. If you have a 6S, you could probably just stick with it for another year, because next year I think is going to be a big update to the iPhone. At least that's what the rumors say. But if you have an old iPhone, a 6 or a 5 or a 4 or a 3, this would be a nice upgrade. I think a very nice upgrade. It's a pretty phone. I got the new Apple Watch, too. Just why not? Get the set. Just like, it's like Samsung. Get the set. I got the complete set. And I'm liking the Apple Watch, too. I don't think anybody needs an Apple Watch at all. But Apple's focused a little bit more. The watch was all over the place. They focused a little bit more on being a sports watch, an activity monitor. I think it does that very well. So, I'm not unhappy with it. I don't think it's a requirement, but something worth looking at. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of me gassing, because, like I said, it's a two-way street here. Let's talk. 8888 Ask Leo. I'm ready to take your calls. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Look who's here. It's Kim Schaffer. Look, they've turned you around and you look, it's beautiful. Look at this, where you're sitting is so nice.
Yes, I've got the...
This is your new...
the old radio corner.
Your new set.
Yeah.
Much prettier than just
Better than the wall, right?
Yeah, it looked like you were in a prison before. Kim Schaffer answering the phones. Good to have you.
Yes, Heather's at Old Cella.
Yeah. Yeah, she said that it was kind of, she said it was the most amazing festival she's ever been to. This is the one in Coachella where
day one, though.
Day one, where it's who is this? Like the Rolling Stones and just all these classic groups that I would love to see. And they call it Old Cella because really it's people my age who are going. She said there were no lines at the bathrooms. Everybody was orderly. Yeah. My people were. I was a good generation. We were a polite generation.
The music would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm jealous that she's there, but that's okay.
We're here.
We're here.
We're here to take your
And
calls.
I'm thrilled to be back. I'll tell you, did everything go well during vacation?
You might have heard about the little phone snafu last week.
Did the phones fail?
Yeah, the phones failed last week.
Phones will do that. They won't fail this time. We have figured it all out.
Yes.
I'm assured.
Good.
My team has assured me.
Because we've got full lines.
All right. Who should I start with?
Jeff in West LA found a TV and wants to know if you think it's a good one.
Okay. He found a TV. Well, how could it be bad? Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was at Costco and I was looking at their TV.
Oh, you didn't find it on the street?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. I'll never forget walking down the street not so long ago. And remember the Sony Vega TVs? They were like the top-of-the-line TVs that you could get. And they were very, very expensive. WEGA.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I walking down the street, and there's in a box, like it looked like brand new Sony Vega. It said free on it. And that was a sign of the times.
Oh, my God.
Everybody wants flat panels now. So what were you looking at?
Well, I was looking at an LG. It's a 43-inch. It's a 4K Ultra HD Smart, so it's smarter than I am.
Yeah, they use the WebOS, which is very nice, yeah.
And I was wondering what you thought of that. They got 3 HDMI ports on it, and like I said, it's 4K, 43 inches. I'd be mostly watching sports, things like that. I might just think about doing over-the-air broadcasts until maybe later down the road.
I just bought an LG. I think LG makes excellent TVs. The only thing I would say is 42 inches is kind of small. I know that Sony on the street was 27 inches, and at the time, that's a big TV, but that's because CRT's, a 27-inch TV weighed 800 pounds and was 6 feet deep.
Yeah.
On the flat panels now, people are getting bigger, and some of this has to do with the room you're in, obviously, and sometimes we call it spousal acceptance factor. Mm-hmm. And then also there's an issue sometimes with how close you're sitting. So 42 inches generally, if you want a really good home theater experience, it means you're sitting pretty darn close to it.
Well, I would be. It's a small room, so
okay.
It's not, yeah. What about if light shines on it? Is it better in a dark room, or it doesn't matter?
Well, you're getting an LCD. They might be called LED, but it's an LED backlit LCD. Okay. And those are bright, and they're better for rooms where you can't control the ambient lighting. So I think you'll be fine on brightness on those. Okay,
so you think it's a good deal?
Yeah. How much?
$380.
Whoa. Yeah, see, that's the thing. 42 inches, I know we've got to readjust. Because that would have been a massive television.
Yeah, it's big enough for me.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. The reason they're really inexpensive is, that's about as small as you want to go.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and so you'll notice if you look at the 55 or the 60 or the 70 or the 75, there's a dramatic increase in price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But at 42 inches, you can get a great TV for $300, and I think that's a very good choice. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your input. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. Yeah, the TV I got was the LG OLED. There's really nowadays only 2 technologies out for TVs, and we're going to talk about this with Scott Wilkinson in a minute. But he's joining us, our home theater guru. But OLEDs are a small number of TVs sold because they're pricey. They stopped making plasmas. Nobody's even making the plasmas anymore, which I preferred because everybody wants the LCD, and part of the reason is it's bright. It really shines. Not great for sports, but because action with LCDs are a little bit slower than plasma or the old CRTs, the old direct view like the Sony Vega. They're a little slower. So stuff that's moving fast is a little harder, a little blurrier, I guess is the best way to describe it. Mary's in North Dakota. She's next. Hi, Mary.
Hello, Leo.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
My pleasure. What can I do for you?
I think I have a computer that has gremlins in it.
Uh-oh. What's it doing?
It's about a 4.5-year-old Dell.
Yeah.
And this started about 3 months ago.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, the one hard drive just disappeared. I have 2 hard drives set up. I set up one with the operating system and a second one for my data and bigger files. And the second hard drive, I turned it on and it wasn't there. And I turned it back off and it was there and it seemed to be fine. And I backed everything up and things were going pretty good until about 3 weeks ago. All of a sudden, one time I turned it on and it'd show one hard drive. The next time it turned, and the one
is the second hard drive connected via USB?
No, it's SATA. It's internal.
It's inside.
It's inside.
The case of the disappearing hard drive. Next on Perry Mason.
And then last Sunday, I was loading some video onto the second hard drive, and it disappeared. I rebooted the computer. It wasn't there. I pulled it out and put it in a docking station and connected to my laptop, and it wouldn't power on at all. So I figured that was the issue. It was just that dying hard drive. I started backing up my data and ordered another hard drive, and all of a sudden, I'm getting check disk errors. In fact, this started before.
On the original hard drive? Or just the old one?
On the original hard. No, on the original hard drive,
dear.
too.
Oh, dear.
And then all of a sudden, it wouldn't even read the base one, which I had my operating system on. It came up with errors, and I thought, no problem, I'll just download Windows and reinstall Windows. It started putting it in, and then all of a sudden, how it reboots a couple times?
Yeah.
It came up with the blue screen of death, and it says it has an error, and it said stop code.
If it were just the second drive, I'd say, well, you had a bad drive. But now you're having on the first drive, it sounds to me like you've got a motherboard issue. The SATA bus is problematic. Could be a power supply issue. The first thing I would do, if I were buying these parts and replacing them, maybe I'm the tech that you brought it to, is replace the power supply. Because sometimes an underpowered power supply won't have enough juice. You added a second drive. It wasn't rated for 2 drives. It won't have enough juice to get those drives spinning in a prompt fashion. So I'd look at the power supply first because that's a cheap and easy part to replace. But if that doesn't fix it, it's the logic board, the big motherboard, and that's really like the most important piece in the computer and more expensive and more difficult to do. You might try solid-state drives. They use less power than the spinning drives. That's another way to replace the PSU. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. There he is. Scott Wilkinson, thank you so much. You were here all last weekend, and I am very grateful.
Well, thank you.
Snell. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Good.
Jason really knows his stuff when it comes to Apple, that's for sure.
Well, and that's why, I didn't want to burden you with all the computer stuff. And I thought, well, between Jason and Scott, there's probably very few things we can't answer. So I'm glad you both were here. And I got a benefit, of course, because it's kind of become a tradition now.
It has. Yeah. Every time you get a new TV.
Every time I get a new TV, Scott comes up and calibrates it. Scott, you're a certified television calibrator, right?
Yep. I am certified by THX, one of the two main certifying bodies. The other is ISF, Imaging Science Foundation. And I've taken their class too, but I didn't actually, go through the certification process. I did with THX. So,
yeah.
I have a good grasp of what's required there. And so, I came up and you got a new LG OLED TV.
I did.
The 65-inch B6.
Yep.
And so I wanted to have at it, and so I brought along Robert Heron, our good friend, who is also an ISF and THX calibrator. And he had done a number of OLEDs before. And so we got to your house and we calibrated what's called the gray scale, which is basically from white to black. And that calibrated up very well. And then we started looking at the color, and the colors, a couple of the colors were somewhat off. In particular, the reds kind of drifted away from where they were supposed to be, and the blues were a little unsaturated, desaturated from where.
I've been watching this TV for a month, and I didn't notice a thing.
Well, and that's the thing. You're exactly right. And I've talked about
but now I feel ripped off. Like, I'm not getting all the colors I paid for.
Well, now here's the thing. It's difficult, much more difficult to see unless you measure, right, with expensive equipment. Or if you have something sitting right next to that TV that is what's called a reference monitor.
Yeah.
And if you do, then you can look between the two and go, oh, okay, I see the reds here are a little bit different than here, and the blues are a little bit different. But without that kind of reference and without that measurement, it's going to be very hard for anyone but, say, the Hollywood golden eyes, and there are several of those, who could instantly look at that and say, oh, your reds are different and your blues are desaturated. For most of us, it's very difficult to tell. And I think you're getting a very good experience, but we're a little concerned about why did this TV, your LG OLED B6, measure so differently than many other OLEDs that Robert has done and a couple others that I've done. So we're continuing to investigate. It's possible that it might have been a measurement problem. Another calibrator friend of mine uses the same meters that I used, which were from colorimetry research. And he said that once in a while, maybe 10 or 20% of the time, the process that you use with them gives you not necessarily reliable results. So what I'm hoping will happen is that Robert will come back. Unfortunately, I'm in LA, or I'd come back too, but Robert's more in the Bay Area. If he could come back and do some measurement with his equipment, and we'll see if it measures the same, then there might be some problem with the panel, and I will certainly help you solve that problem.
This reminds me of why I don't want to go to the doctor. Because I feel fine, and I don't want to, the doctor finds something wrong with me that I don't know about.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have had the TV calibrated.
Then, ignorance is bliss, really? I don't think so. I'd rather know.
How much does the equipment cost that you use to test this?
Well, what we used were 2 meters from colorimetry research, and the 2 meters together are $12,000.
And you had yours and Robert had his, and they both read the same way.
No. Robert didn't have. Well, he had his with him, but we didn't use it.
So it's possible.
Only used mine. It's possible.
So
yes.
If I have a choice between my expensive TV being broken and your expensive colorimeter being broken, I'm choosing your colorimeter.
Yes, exactly.
So
exactly. That's what I would. I mean, I hope that's not true. I mean,
I hope it's not true either. Well, what would be my recourse? Could I? Can I go to LG and say, "Hey, I'm missing 2% of my reds"? How would they? What?
Well, first of all, you probably have. You got it much less than a year ago, right?
Oh yeah.
So you've got a warranty on it.
Yeah, but it's not broken.
It's not, but it's not performing the way it should either.
This is going to be one. See, and I'm not just thinking about me. There's a lot of people out there who are going to be thinking, well, how would I even know?
See, that's the thing.
A, would I care? B, but I should get what I'm paying for. It should be as accurate as it claims to be.
Yep.
And this raises the issue not just for your TV, but your computer screen and everything else. How many people get professional calibrators in to measure the color?
Not very many. because it's pretty expensive. Typically, a professional calibration is going to be in the $300 to $500 range. So you don't want to do it on a TV that you've only spent $300 or $500 on, right? There's no point to it. But if you spend thousands, then yeah, it might be worth it.
And now now somebody's saying, well, you got the cheap one. Well, but the B6 isn't as expensive. It's $1,000 less than the G6. But you're giving up 3D, but it's supposed to be the same panel with the same capabilities. Is that right?
Exactly. That's correct. That's correct.
I don't care about 3D, and I want to save $1,000
or the picture on glass design thing. I don't care about that either.
What's that?
Oh, that's the G6 has an industrial design that's different.
Oh no, Did you see how thin that TV is?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
You walk in the room and you see it on the side, and you go, "Where's the TV?"
Yeah. Exactly right. Now you do have it directly behind it from where you're sitting. You have windows, and during the day,
I close those.
They have shutters, but still some light gets through.
Yeah.
And that does reflect on the screen. We noticed that, certainly.
Yeah.
So it's going to look better viewed at night in that particular environment. But
I feel like there's probably 99.9% of the people who bought this TV who might have the same problem, would never know. Or if you hire a calibrator, because how much does it cost to get a professional calibration? It's hundreds of dollars, right?
Yeah, $300 or $500.
So if you hire somebody and then he says this to you, then what do? What's your recourse?
Well, that's a good question.
I don't know if you can go to LG and say, "Well, excuse me, but your calorimeter is wrong." What are they? They're not going to say, "Well, the TV's not broken."
The TV's not broken. That's true.
They're going to say, "Well, sorry, that's what you get."
Yeah, and it may very well be, for example, that the reason the B6 is less expensive is that they don't keep as tight tolerances on the panels as they do.
I loved this TV right up till now.
Oh man, I really hesitated even telling you.
I love this TV right up to this moment. And now I'm never going to be able to look at that thing and appreciate it again.
No, please. It's not the case. It's going to look just fine. We're being geeks about it. I mean, you're a geek. I'm a geek. Robert's a geek.
What do you think? What do you think, everybody? Wouldn't it be better if I didn't know this? I would just go along going, yeah, this TV looks great. I paid a lot of money for this TV. It is a great TV. I invite people in to see the TV. Look at the reds on that. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful TV. They go, oh, yeah, that's a beautiful TV. And no one would be the wiser.
No one would be the wiser.
This is why I don't go to the doctor either.
This is your doctor analogy is very good here, yes.
Dr. Mom in our chat room saying, no, you'll go to the doctor.
Yeah, you do. No, we're not done investigating
with the doctor, it's a life and death thing. With a TV, not
with
so
a TV,
much.
it's just a TV. Yeah. And believe me, you're not going to see a big difference unless you sit it right next to a monitor.
Scott Wilkinson, he does our Home Theater Geeks podcast at twit.tv/HTG. He's also editor-in-chief at the AVS Forum. We'll talk again next week. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. If it burst into flames, I could get a new one.
That's right. Well, I mean, LG is not going to want Leo Laporte to have a bad
They don't
TV.
know me from Adam.
Oh, well, they know me from Adam, and I'm going to raise holy hell.
Well, good. So we'll get Robert up, and he can use the same equipment and see if the same thing.
No, actually, different equipment.
Oh, different equipment. Okay.
Yeah, this is the key. This is the question that we still have. Is the equipment that I used, as expensive as it is, another calibrator friend of mine who actually owns a B6 said that, well, when you do this particular process called profiling, 1 meter to the other, he said occasionally you come up with anomalous readings that aren't really true. Yeah. Now I took that same set of equipment, those same meters, and put them on his B6.
Yeah.
And it measured perfectly.
Oh.
Just fine.
So you've tried it on another B6.
I have. Now it's the 55-inch. And another question we're going to try and answer is, are there differences in screen sizes? Because they're not cut from the same piece of glass. Because at 4K, a 55-inch, the pixels are smaller than a 65-inch, right? So they can't be cut from the same glass. So there are a number of factors that we're still looking into. I don't want you to think that, your TV is automatically bad.
I'm teasing you. I know.
I know. But there are a number of avenues that we want to pursue to get to the bottom of this. Because why is it that it measured?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Weird.
Yeah.
It measured just very strangely. It had, and again, you're not going to see it when you watch TV on normal content. You're just not going to see it. It's not going to be a problem. But we are geeks. We are all geeks on this bus, as Firesign Theater once sort of said. And you remember that?
Yeah, we're all clowns on this bus. Yeah,
bozos, actually.
Bozos, yeah.
Yes. And we want to get to the bottom of this. We want to know, why is it that your TV measured poorly? Was it the meters were off? Is it that the panel lottery? Sometimes it's called a panel lottery in low-cost TVs. You might get one of a particular model and it measures and looks fine.
Right.
You get another of the same model and it doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's not uncommon.
The variability,
right?
The tolerances.
As long as it's within whatever their internal specifications are.
Exactly. Yep. Precisely.
So
right.
let me ask you this: did you notice when you walked in? You go, "Well, that red looks desaturated."
No, I did
Looks
not.
good.
Looks good. Looks great. Looks great. The blacks are phenomenal, as we know from OLED. And here's another trick: is you cannot raise the brightness very much, or those blacks are ruined.
I'm happy with the brightness as it is.
Yeah.
I don't usually watch in the daytime. I'm watching at night.
You're watching at night.
And I'm sitting real close, as you see.
Yeah. Which is good for that size of TV.
Yeah. I'm happy. I'm not. Well, we'll see what happens. I think it's worth investigating. Certainly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do too. But even if it's broken, I don't really.
It's not
live with
broken, but yeah. So yeah, you probably can't get a warranty replacement.
I'm betting not. I'm betting it's not. They're not going to say, well, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just slightly out of tolerance, is all they're going to say.
Right.
But that's also of interest. Let's find out. Let's see what happens.
Exactly. That's all.
But that's why I don't like to pull the I'm Leo card, because, of course, they're going to replace it for me, but would they replace it for somebody else is the question.
Good
hey, do you want to
question.
stick around for the top of the
Happy
hour?
to.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm going to go back to work now. In tears. Thank you, Scott.
You bet.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 ask Leo. I'm sorry, I'm still in a little bit of a shock here at the disappointing news that my TV is inaccurate. I think, though, that probably a lot of us are sitting there with inaccurate TVs, don't know a thing, right? 8888 ask Leo. Moving on to John in Los Angeles. Hi, John. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I am great.
Oh, great. Long-time listener. Love your show.
Thank you.
I've got a mid-2012 MacBook Air, 256 gigabyte hard drive. And I got the startup drive is full, and so I looked, and it says I've got like 500 megabytes left. And last time I looked, it was like 40 gigabytes left.
Wow.
So I looked on the disk utility, and it says I've got 238 gigs of other. And when I do the get info on the hard drive, all of the various folders only add up to about 80 gigs. So where's all those missing gigs, you think?
Well, I'll tell you a program you can get that I like a lot, and I've mentioned this before. For Windows and Mac, there are programs that will show you graphically what's using space. And that's the first thing I'd like to know. Other is Apple's way of saying, we don't want to tell you. You don't need to know. We'll take care of it from here. Except that it's too late. They can't. You're now down to nothing.
When I do get info on the hard drive, isn't that showing me all of the files?
Well, other is things like temp files, swap files, stuff that you can't see. So I don't know, and that's why I would go out and get a program called Disk Inventory X.
Okay.
It'll show you in colorful blobs all the different types of files, and you'll see the largest blob will be the one that is taking up the most space. This is new to me on the Macintosh. Apple's done this for a while on their iOS devices, and it's a real pain. A lot of people will look at the usage of their iPad or iPhone, and there'll be this big yellow chunk called Other. Apple just introduced this now on the Macintosh. And they'll go, well, what's that, and how do I get rid of it? And there isn't any button to press to get rid of it. I suspect it's a little easier on a Mac. You know, iOS is not designed. There's no user serviceable parts inside. But on the Mac, it's, you know, I would be willing to bet that there are tools out there that you can empty, you know, delete cache files, delete temp files. This is stuff probably you don't want.
I was going to ask you about the cache. When you delete cache, is there any cache that you have to be concerned about deleting the wrong cache?
Yeah, I would be very careful about doing this by hand. Okay. So first, empty your trash. You've obviously done that, right?
I've done that,
yeah.
Does the disk inventory X help me delete the files?
It's more, yeah, it will, but it's informational and more, and that's really, we're trying to figure out if there's something particularly large on there. I'm going to put a link in the show notes to an article. This is what I want you to follow, is this specific recommendations from a group called iMore. They're really a great website, imore.com for Mac people. How to find and remove files from the other storage category on the Mac. And so this is exactly what you want.
Okay, great.
You see it now in this About This Mac. You know, the iOS, they've had this kind of same graphical display for a while. And that big yellow other is of real concern for people. It is mostly temp and cache files. They're probably, in most cases, files you don't need. If you look in, I'm going to have you follow the instructions in this article because it's more specific than I'm going to give you on the radio. But if you look in your library folders, you'll see a caches folder. Right. And that's the cache stuff. And you can, I believe, safely delete all of that. But I want you to follow the article specifically.
Just one last quick comment. The thing that's very unusual is in his disk utility, it says my apps are 101.28 gigabytes. And in the app folder, it says it's 28 gigabytes.
Interesting.
That makes no sense, right?
Yeah. So there is some, you know, you have, you know, there may be apps that have been uninstalled but not deleted somehow. There may be, you know, storage from an app that you deleted the app, which is the smallest part of it. But if you look in the application support folder, there's massive data files. Adobe does that, for instance. You could delete Photoshop and Lightroom, but your Adobe files would still stay on the drive, and they could be gigabytes worth. So it's stuff like that. The easiest thing to do, of course, is the solution that we usually do with iOS, which is to reset the, you know, erase and start over. And that would certainly get rid of it. But I think it's probably good to figure out what it is. It can, by the way, it could be backups. For some reason, these do not show up in Get Info, but they do show up in that other category, device backups. So if you've been backing up your iPhone and iPad through iTunes, those will also occupy space. They also recommend Onyx, which I've used for years. It's a tool that you shouldn't need. The OS X is a Unix system and has built-in jobs that automatically delete log files and temp files that can occupy a lot of space. But if for some reason those jobs are not getting run, those files can really start occupying space. So Onyx kind of manually deletes the log files and temp files and cache files that could be eating space. So ONYX, it's free, it's an excellent program. And then this iMore article is recommending something that I'm not familiar with. It's $10. It's called Daisy Disk. But it sounds like it's very similar to Disk Inventory X. It might be more up-to-date because it shows what's in the other category. So it will give you an idea of what... I don't know if Disk Inventory X is smart enough. This other thing is newer. So Daisy Disk, Onyx, and then we're going to put a link at techguylabs.com to this iMore article that will describe the multi-step process involved in clearing out these old files.
I will check it out. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the call. Thank you. It's Leaf, Winnipeg. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Is it Leaf or Leif?
Leaf.
Leaf.
Hello.
Hi, Leaf.
Hi. Yeah, good to hear you, and welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Have you ever been to Winnipeg?
I have not.
Oh.
Although I have a friend in a rock band who said the coldest place they ever went was summertime in Winnipeg. It's a short summer in Winnipeg, but something has to separate ski season from ski season.
Yeah, you'll have to.
I would love to come up very much. I'll make an effort to get there next time. What can I do for you?
I guess like my 2011 Mac Mini, it's kind of along the lines of your last caller. It's filling up like over the years of, I don't know, just more like duplicates, junk.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, so I got my 128 gigabyte iPhone 6. That's just like filled up after 2 years.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, photos and videos.
So kind of the same answer. Now, what Apple has done is they've turned on this iCloud photo library, which in theory, now I have 20 gigs on my brand new iPhone of photos and videos because I backed it up and restored it from an old one. In theory, as the phone starts to fill up, it's going to move more and more of those off to the cloud and only put thumbnails on my phone. So it's supposed to manage that. So in theory, you don't have to worry about it. I would say go get Google Photos. This is for the iPhone. And then follow my instructions earlier for the Mac. But go get Google Photos, have it back up, because it's good on the Mac and the iPhone as well. Back up all your photos and videos. And then there's a setting in Google Photos that says, okay, now delete the stuff that's backed up. Literally just delete it. See, Apple doesn't do that, but you can do it with Google Photos. And then you got two backups, iCloud and Google. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Oh, thank you. Pie Dog actually had a good point in the chat room about this whole color TV, this color thing, which is if you have a TV with color issues, it would be almost impossible to notice, especially if you've had it for a while.
Yeah, because your eyes get used to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The brain normalizes the color perception.
But the problem for me is I'm going from TV in the living room, that very nice plasma Viera in the living room that you calibrated.
Yeah, and it calibrated beautifully.
Yeah, and then I'm going back and forth because I watch that all the time too, into my office.
That's 1080p and not HDR.
Right.
So
right.
Narrower color gamut.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and who knows? Maybe my eyes aren't calibrated either, so I don't know. Are eyes like ears where you get, your perception of red and stuff goes downhill, I wonder?
It's a good question. I've been trying to find an ophthalmologist, an eye doctor, to come on the Home Theater Geeks podcast to talk about perception, visual perception.
Because we know a lot of it's the brain.
Yeah, exactly. But we also know that over time, as you know, the older we get, our hearing is affected.
Right.
So that makes me wonder whether or not our vision is affected as well. I mean, other than things like macular degeneration or problems.
I'd be more concerned with all this if I hadn't gotten it was 4,000, I think, but I was able to use points, so it only cost me like $1,000. So I wasn't
right.
It's not like I'm. But I want the best TV on the market.
Of course.
What I got is broken.
Well,
LG.
It's a little out of spec. That's what we can say.
Fine.
Well, it's what we suspect at this point. Again, we're doing more research because we're geeks and we want to get to the bottom of it.
Right.
But we're gonna find out exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Whatever the result. I mean, this result causes some interest and goes, why is that? So we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So, Mike Heiss also is waiting to test. We've been talking in the chat room about the Roku Ultra, the new 4K HDR Roku that was announced, and the Chromecast Ultra, which is also 4K HDR, and one that I hadn't known about before, Xiaomi, Xiaomi. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but and then there'll probably be something from Fire TV and Apple TV maybe. But we know of three now that are imminent, if not out already. The Xiaomi is out now, according to the link that somebody sent me in the chat room. And it's also 4K, HDR10. So we're getting some streaming boxes now that will do HDR streaming, and you don't have to rely on the apps inside the TV now. So that's kind of good because it gives you more options, more choices. And Patterson in the chat room makes a very good point. Color occurs in the brain. That's exactly right. There is no red in the physical world. There's just a frequency or a wavelength of light. We in our brain interpret it as red. So I find that very interesting as well. Patterson, why did Homer call the sea wine-colored? That's a very good question, too. Homer also came up with one of my favorite words of all time, poluflois boisterous. How about that? Which means kind of a rough sea. Poluflois boisterous. I just think that's one of the greatest words of all time. Hey, AppleFan99, good to see you. Loco Mats, my beloved PN64F8500, that's the Samsung Plasma, last generation Plasma, died, and I replaced it with the LG B6 on a Denon S920W receiver. That's the same setup Leo has. What's the best place to put the Xbox One in the chain? Does that pass through from the AVR to the TV ruin anything? No, it doesn't. In that case, that receiver should work just fine. It should pass through 4K and HDR, no problem at all. That's why I recommended it to Leo. So that's a killer system right there. Presuming that if what we discovered was in fact a panel issue, that you don't have that. But even if you do, you're not going to notice it unless you measure it or unless you put it next to a reference monitor. That's the whole point I was trying to make earlier. This calibration business is important to us geeks, but most people will not see a big difference. AppleFan99, yes, I did have a really great time up there. It's always really, really fun. Woody, thank you. Xiaome is pronounced show me. That's perfect. Actually, there's a Chinese musical instrument called the xiao, which is also spelled Xiao. So Xiaomi would be another way to possibly pronounce it in Chinese. But show me is probably another valid way to do it. And Mike Heiss, only the Chromecast will have Dolby Vision. I guess that's true. The Chromecast does have both, and that's really interesting. The new Roku and the Xiaomi or the Xiaomi only has HDR10 only. It's fine because that's what most streams use anyway. Vudu uses Dolby Vision, but they also now are offering alternatives at HDR10. So, Marsworm, the NVIDIA Shield has 4K HDR if you upgrade it by firmware. Okay, there's another one. Locomats, I'm not going to check it. Okay, fine. Lumpy, that's a good question. On projectors, which is more important, contrast ratio or lumens? Depends. If you're in a very bright room and you want to watch, you're in any ambient light and you want to watch the projector, lumens are more important. But I watch in a black room, in a dark room, and so contrast ratio is more important to me. It depends on your situation. The Sue the Writer, I can barely get a continuous signal from my PC to my TV through the Chromecast. Oh, that's too bad. I assume your house-wide network is fine. Have you done it by hardwire, by Ethernet, rather than Wi-Fi? Web 2844. I don't know the difference between the B&W CM9 S1 or S2 speakers. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. I often will say during the show, as I did last hour, I'm going to put this on the website. When I say that, that's techguylabs.com. And really, that's all you need to remember. Techguylabs.com. Everything you need. Questions, answers, audio, video of the show after the fact, all of that stuff is there. And it's searchable, and you can comment, too. So if you are sitting there going, I have a better idea. How do I get that on the air? You don't have to. I mean, you can call, of course, but if it's even easier, go to the website, techguylabs.com, and add that in the comments there. People were asking, and I'm glad to tell you about phone situations as I travel overseas. We were... I think it was 10 countries in 12 days. So it was a really good way to test both T-Mobile and Google's own phone solution, Google Fi. as we travel. T-Mobile has promised free data, they say it's going to be slower speed, 2G or 3G speed, in many, I think it's 119 countries or something, many countries, and then 20 cent a minute phone calls, which is fairly good, compared to what it would normally cost to make an overseas call, and unlimited text and back and forth, no matter where you're texting. So I brought a T-Mobile phone. Actually, that was the iPhone 7. And then I also brought a Google Nexus phone running Google Fi, because Google Fi, which incidentally does work in the U.S. on the T-Mobile network, as well as Sprint and U.S. Cellular. Google Fi says, oh, hey, we got an even better deal. It costs the same wherever you are, no matter where you are. As soon as you go in a country, they get a text message saying, hey, good news, Google Fi works here. And it's exactly the same cost as it would be in the U.S., which is $20 a month for unlimited phone calls and text, and then $10 a gigabyte for data. So it eliminates this whole fear, and so many of us have suffered as we've traveled of paying data roaming charges, which can be thousands of dollars. And you want to use your smartphone as you travel. It's kind of hugely useful to be able to, well, if you get lost, use maps to get back home. Did that several times. In fact, as we were wandering, I would say, all right, I'm going to put a pin down so I know where we need to get back to. And it was very, very helpful. You can also use it to find restaurants and attractions. And I mean, there's lots of reasons you might want data on your smartphone as you travel. So here's here are the results. T-Mobile was amazing. It was better than 3G almost all the time, much of the time LTE. Worked very well on the iPhone 7. In fact, most times worked better than Google Fi. Now, the price-wise, it's fairly similar. You're paying your regular T-Mobile fees and then an additional cost for overseas phone calls. And that's the same on Google. I would say there isn't much of a difference between the two of them. I was glad to have both because sometimes Google Fi did seem to work better, was a little bit faster in some areas. But in almost every area where I went, and we went, I'll list the countries so you know: France, England, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Russia. Worked great in Russia, by the way. Yeah, I'm sure we were being monitored, but I was a little nervous. How private is Russia, Latvia, Estonia, the Netherlands, and Belgium. So I think that's all of them. But in every case, both worked quite well, and I was really pleased with T-Mobile. Now, Sprint has a similar program called One World that I have not tried, but I suspect would be very similar. But at least for now, and I think this might change, T-Mobile is offering higher speeds in almost everywhere you go, like 3G or in many cases LTE speeds. And I was very, very happy. Worked very well. So just a good tip. If you're a T-Mobile customer, you probably don't have to do anything. If you're not, if you're on Verizon, which charges an awful lot for overseas data, AT&T also will charge you for overseas data. You might check out these other carriers. Google Fi, unfortunately, is limited only to Google's own phones. The Nexus are now the new Pixel phones. But in both cases, I think it's really a lifesaver. It's much better than it's ever been in the past. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We go on to Ricky, who's listening in Chatsworth, California. Hi, Ricky.
Thank you. Boy, we love listening to you. We finally have a question and issue, and could you give us some advice?
Well, first of all, thanks for being so kind, and thanks for listening. And, of course, I'll do what I can to help.
Okay. Well, we're in L.A., early subscribers to cable television, 35 years now, and we're at our wits' end with what to do for a server. We have AT&T right now. We always sign up with a special, which is what they offer. 2 years down the line, it reaches the $200 mark. We only have one paid channel, Showtime, and otherwise we have internet. We have the house hooked up, internet, telephone.
So you're saying, what should we use for internet, or are you saying what is the best provider for the triple play or the double play package?
Triple player.
You want triple play.
Exactly.
So typically triple play, when you get it from the cable company can do all three. They can do TV, data, and phone. If you get it from a phone company, then you usually have the TV comes from another company they've made a deal with, typically Dish or DirecTV. That's usually how it works. Phone systems, if you're using a different technology for internet, they're using something called DSL over the copper lines. And in some cases, and you may be lucky enough to be living in an area where you can get fiber, fiber would be very good. I'm less crazy about copper. I think in general, if you have a choice between cable and DSL, cable's going to give you faster speeds in most cases. And of course, as I said, they can offer a true triple play package where all three, data, TV, and phones, come from the same company. I don't know what the benefit of the triple play is. I don't think there's a real cost savings. I think what they say is, well, but the beauty of it is you get one bill. Well, big deal. big deal. You know, I generally like the idea of getting phone service from the phone company with the copper lines, because that's going to be much more robust in a disaster, an earthquake in our area, or a hurricane back east. In many cases, the phone system survives where the cable system does not.
We still have a landline. We keep that, yes.
There you go. Smart man. Yeah, keep your landline for emergencies, absolutely. So I don't know in your area who's the best. So here's how what I would suggest doing. There are websites. Some of them are just blatant paid ads. So don't trust every website. I would trust a company or a website called DSL Reports or Broadband Reports. They're clean. They're not influenced by people paying them, as many as these other sites are. And they have reports on how the ISPs in your area work from real people. So trust DSL Reports if you want to look at speeds and reliability and that kind of thing. And then ask your neighbors, too, because, of course, they're going to be the people who are most likely to have the same service you're going to have. Because one thing that's absolutely true, and the reason I can't give you a recommendation, is it's very dependent on geography. In some areas, DSL and your phone company will be much better than the cable company. In some areas, vice versa. And it's really very local. So your neighbors may even be your best bet. What works for them? How many days of outages a year do you get? How fast is the speed? All of that is important. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Love to hear from you. 888-827-5536. Henry on the line from North Hollywood, California. Hi, Henry.
Hi, I'm trying to find a book that can teach me Windows 10 that's not designed for grandma and, let's learn to copy and paste. I've seen the term intermediate user.
Yeah.
I used to advertise myself, I want a power user book. And really, all it ends up being is just A+ certification rehashed.
Yeah, it's difficult. The good news is, and I guess this is changing a little bit, the computer book industry is dying, of course, as is the book industry in some ways. But some of us still like to have a thing of paper that you can open up and have next to the screen as opposed to some sort of digital book. And it used to be when there were really a vast treasure trove of computer technical books that there were imprints designed for all kinds of users. Yes, for seniors, for people who are new to computers, but also for more sophisticated users. A lot of those have kind of disappeared. I'm going to give a plug to my friend Paul Thurrott, because he does a very good job with his Windows books, and his Windows 10 Field Guide is, I think, what you're looking for. It's complete, which means there's a lot of stuff in it. But I think what you are looking for, and I would guess most people who are computer literate and have used Windows for years, what you're looking for is, okay, what are these new things in Windows, and how do I get the most out of Windows? Where is my settings move? What happens when I put the mouse in the corner now? Things like that. And the field guides are very good. You can find them at leanpub, leanpub.com. And, of course, Paul is the host of our Windows podcast, Windows Weekly, so he's very knowledgeable. And I think he's done a very good job. So you can look at a sample at leanpub.com. I think you might even be able to download the whole book before you buy, and that'll give you some idea. The missing manuals that David Pogue writes, is he still doing those? I think he's moved on. But those used to be perhaps maybe a little babyish for you, little aimed a little more at the noob. Used to be, remember the Windows Secrets guides? Those were great. There were a whole lot of really good insider information. And you're right, A+ is the IT guy cert. And you don't want to be an IT guy. You just want to know, how to use Windows best. Start with that. Try that field guide, will you?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Leo. What really caused this is that I switched over to Mint Linux that you recommended.
Oh, yeah.
8, and I skipped 10, and I, followed my super user side.
Well, what happened now? You're back on Windows?
Well, the little Mint hack kind of made me a little, and plus you don't want to be ignorant at the salad bar of technology.
Yeah.
You just don't want to fill up on bread.
Yeah, that's why I read Paul's book. I think you'll find it's very good. He puts a lot of effort into it. And his goal in that is to document every feature. So you could treat it as a reference work as much as you want, as much as a book that you would just read, right?
Okay, well, thank you, Leo.
Hey, you're very welcome. Thanks for the call. And I'm glad I could give a plug to my friend Paul. I in my day, wrote a few computer books. I think the total was an unlucky 13. And it is a thankless task. It is the hardest job I've ever had. It's hard work. And it's really kind of, in most cases, you make no money. If you figured out the hourly rate, it'd be $1 an hour because it's so much work. And computer books just don't make money. Occasionally, you'll have a hit and you'll make some good money. One of my books sold well. I think it sold 55,000 copies, and that's considered a bestseller in the computer book area. But most of the stuff I wrote just, sunk without a trace, which means hours of work and you get nothing because you're living on royalties. 8888 ask Leo. And I think we need this information because while, of course, it's on the internet, it's piecemeal. It's all over. The internet's great if you have a specific problem and you want to find out how to solve it. It's a lot harder if you say, no, but I want to kind of just become proficient at Windows 10. That's a lot harder. But I think Paul is, I don't know why he does it. Every time he finishes a book, he says, Leo, don't let me write another one. I know. And he can't stop. He's written dozens. He just can't stop. 8888 ask Leo. Dave in Hollywood Hills. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Dave.
Hi, here. Welcome back to the real world.
Yeah, vacations are not the real world. That's why we like them. But I also missed, I have to say, I ended up doing the radio show in my cabin.
I'm playing.
Honey, ask me a question.
I'm playing here with an ISO 10.6. A friend of mine upgraded to a Lion, so I'm now at 7. But he says that if I go any higher, I'm going to get into that digital world, and it's going to get even more complicated. What's happening now, since we've upgraded, is that when the computer gets sort of been on it for a while, it begins to take control. Like if I rest the cursor on anything, it opens it, it Blu-rays everything, and I have to bang on the keyboard, to get it to stop it. And then it'll stop for a while, and then it'll start.
So so you have a Mac.
Yeah.
Is it a pretty old one?
Yeah, we upgraded to Lion, which is 10.7.
Yeah, but how old is the Mac? The hardware is how old?
I bought it new.
It's pretty old, huh? I mean, I don't think that the problem you're having is not typical, even for an old Mac running Lion. It sounds like your keyboard or your mouse is messed up. But it could be there's a hardware issue with the Mac. If it's 10 years old, it might be time to buy a new one. The new Macs are on their way, we think. Apple we think, is going to do an announcement this month The rumor mill's been pretty accurate with Apple in the last couple of years. They nailed the iPhone 7. I think there was nothing on the iPhone 7 that we hadn't already read about in the trades. The rumor mill says there'll be certainly new laptops. And I wouldn't be surprised to see new desktops, too. You're probably due, if you can afford it, and I know Macs are premium priced, but if you can afford it, a new iMac. I would wait, though, until the end of the month. If they don't announce a new iMac by Halloween, then go out and get an iMac. You can get them, they start at about $12.99, which is twice what a comparable PC would cost. But they use good components. They're well made, and most importantly, their support is excellent. That's the other suggestion, is if that is not normal behavior, you could bring it in, make an appointment with a Genius Bar at an Apple store and say, what's going on? And I bet you they could figure it out. Chat room's also reminding me, thank you, 99776 in our chat room, that Apple has a refurb. It's from apple.com, their outlet store, where you can save a few $100 on a practically new Macintosh. Most likely it was sold. Somebody returned it immediately. You can't sell it as new. It gets sold as refurb. And those can be good deals. At least save you a few $100. 8888 ask Leo. I'm waiting until the new Macs come out. I need one, but I'm waiting. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're in the money. Actually, you would be in the money if you went to Rocket Mortgage. How about that for a segue, ladies and gentlemen? Pow, zoom. Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans is the best way for geeks like us to get a home loan or a refi, because, get ready for this, it's entirely online. No more bankers' boxes of documents, no more going through old paperwork. It's all done online. In fact, you don't even have to get up off the couch. You could do it on your iPhone, your iPad, your Android device. Rocket Mortgage. Go to quickenloans.com/techguy. It's fast. It's powerful. It's completely online. You can share your bank statements and your pay stubs with the touch of a button. And because, well, computers, you can get approved very quickly, like minutes, for a loan solution that's exactly tailored for your situation. Computers, is there anything they can't do? Rocket Mortgage. Don't even get up off the couch. Do it on your phone. In fact, if you go to Rocket Mortgage's website, they have a video of a person like looking at a house saying, "Let's buy this, but let's quickly get the loan in the open house." That's how fast. quickenloans.com/techguy, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org, number 3030. Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. We thank them for their support of the Tech Guy podcast. And when it's time to refi or buy, go to quickenloans.com/techguy. Johnny Jet is here. Proud Papa. Congratulations. Since we talked last, you and Natalie had a baby boy, Jack.
We did.
And he looks beautiful.
He really is. You know what? I was not prepared for fatherhood.
You mean even after I told you all these things, you're going to change your life and stuff, you still don't know until you get there, do you?
I didn't believe it. I really did not believe it. I didn't believe my friends who said, you're not going to sleep. I have not slept more than 3 hours. I didn't believe my friends who were going to say, you're not going to travel. I have no desire to get on a plane, although I'm getting on one next week for the first time in over 2 months.
It's going to be, and I have to say this lasts for about 18 years, where you just go, I want to get home now. I'm ready to, 1 week in, you go, I'm ready to go home.
I don't know how I'm going to get on a plane because I'm afraid to go to the grocery store without my family now.
You know, when our kids were born, Jennifer and I wouldn't get on a plane at the same plane together. She was so nervous that something would happen to both of us that we flew separately for years.
I can understand that.
You can, can't you?
I can, but although flying is much safer than driving.
No, it didn't make any sense. But
I would feel that way driving.
Yeah, we get in the car together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, back to work for you, Johnny Jet. No rest for the weary. You're still doing the website, right? You're still doing the newsletter?
Of course, without a doubt. It's stronger than ever. Actually, being home has actually boosted my numbers tenfold.
Sure.
Because I've been doing work instead of traveling.
You bet.
Speaking of flying, I got a great app for you that you would really love. It's called Seat Boost. I just tweeted it. I just put it in the chat room.
Yeah.
So it's SEATBOOST. And so right now these guys are just limited to Virgin America, but they just started out. And so you know how airlines these days are now just trying to make as much money as they can. They used to always give the freaking their frequent flyers, the first class seats. But now what they're doing is that some airlines are bidding. You can bid for the flights days in advance. That's what I did when I went to Stockholm.
Wait a minute, you can bid for like a first class seat?
Correct. So some airlines like Delta, SAS, which I did to Stockholm, I bid a few days in advance, and I paid $400 for a one-way upgrade because there was space available. But now these guys, Seat Boost, they partner with Virgin America, and they're going to partner with others.
Yeah.
And it's you can download it on Android or iOS, but you now bid 90 minutes before your flight. And it's like a game. So you're sitting around the gate area.
Oh, I'm going to do this. I wish it were more than just Virgin.
Well, hopefully they will, but obviously frequent flyers aren't happy because they're not going to get those seats because now people are.
So this is the airline's motivation: is an empty seat. If an empty seat flies, that's lost money. They don't want to have one empty seat. And admittedly, that you'd probably, as a frequent flyer, like to get awarded that empty seat, but that doesn't make the airline any money if they can make an extra $400.
Well, and so it's not on every Virgin America flight. It's on a lot of them though. And so hopefully you're not bidding $400. You should be able to get it for much cheaper.
Yeah, because Virgin America is only a continental U.S. or not continental, but United States, right? It's just the U.S.
Correct. They do Hawaii now.
Yeah.
No, they do Cancun as well.
Okay.
And they used to do Toronto.
But they're shorter flights, so you don't need a lie flat seat most of the time, stuff like that.
No, but their seats are almost lie flat.
I have to say, I have flown business class on Virgin America, and it is quite pleasant.
Yes.
Yeah, and they get better snacks too.
Correct. But so it's a pretty cool game. And then at the last 30 seconds, the top 5 participants can really go at it.
Oh, really? So they have like sniping. They have like speed boosting at the end.
Yeah. So if you're not in the top 5, you can't even participate. So
wow,
it's pretty interesting the way it works. So check out their website, download the video, you can watch it.
Seatboost.com.
Exactly.
And get the app.
For sure. So I also got a website for you.
Yeah.
This one. So for people who are traveling during Election Day, your time is running out to sign up for an absentee ballot. Or if you're living overseas, go to a website called votefromabroad.org. You need to do it right away to fill out these forms, and there's no excuse. Like I'm supposed to be in London on Election Day. So that's why I check all this stuff out to make sure that I get my vote in.
Yeah.
So no matter who you're voting for, check out votefromabroad.org. And also for absentee ballots, it's fvap.gov. And I think tomorrow might be the deadline because a lot of them are 30 days in advance. So that's why I'm mentioning it now. You really got to get on it if you want to get out there and vote.
Yeah, everybody needs to vote. Votefromabroad.org. If you're not going to be around, you can vote by mail, but you need to request it now. Votefromabroad.org. Hey, you had mentioned the new, what was it called, Mobile Pass?
A mobile passport. That's
Mobile
right.
passport.
That.
And
you used it.
Yeah, I did use it. It's only in a few airports, but the idea is I'm coming back into the U.S. Via San Francisco. And, you usually have to fill out that blue customs form declaring anything you're bringing into the country. So this is instead of that. You scan your passport, you take a photo of yourself, and you answer a few questions, fewer than actually on the form. Then when you go to a special line, and this is the only advantage, really, I think, is you get in a special line, which may be shorter. And then when you go up to the border control guy, you have to have your phone has a QR code on it. You scan it. He still has to look at your passport, and all the rest is the same. Then he gives you a plastic laminated card, and when you take your bags out into through the customs, you give the laminated card. But this was the disadvantage. You then have to scan it again. Okay. So there's a slowdown at the end. It's more, in other words, there's more process involved if you do this. So the only advantage is if the mobile passport line is short. So here's my suggestion. In our case, we were the first off the plane. We got to the passport control. There was no line for anything. In that case, having the blue form would have been an advantage. So I would do both, and then pick the shorter line because it's free.
Exactly. Right, but I've had readers send me emails saying, it saved them big time, especially in San Francisco. And I think they're in about a dozen or 2 dozen airports in the U.S. So
it's an app for iOS or Android, Mobile Passport, and it's free.
But make sure that your battery on your phone is fully charged because you don't want to get up there at the last minute and all of a sudden, You can't turn it on.
Yeah. And they do scan you twice. So there's a little, I feel like there's more. And I said to the woman as I'm walking out, woman, I have to scan it again. She didn't even, and by the way, she was so tired of people who couldn't figure out how to do it. She just, give me your phone, which I don't think is how they're supposed to do that.
No.
Give me your phone. I'll scan it. It's
They're
like,
not.
Yeah. No, this is my phone. I'm not going to give you my phone. But no, if she says, the problem is nowadays, Border Patrol says, give me your anything. Yes, ma'am, please don't search me. Please, I don't want to be searched. So I gave her my phone, and I actually had to show her how to. It was not fun. My suggestion, again, do both. Fill out the blue form, have this app, and then pick. If the line's a lot shorter on the app, and it will be because nobody knows about this, do the app version.
Yep. I mean, number one choice is global entry, but that was the other thing. I found the global entry at SFO. There's hidden, and I found it. So now I'm going to sign up for it. Sign up. It takes a good 2 months before you get approved.
Yeah.
So make sure you do that well in advance of your trip.
I have to say I had a great time. We were on Regent Seven Seas, which is a very nice cruise line, and I want to thank them and my travel agent, Jane Zugsmith from travelstore.com. She did a great job setting it up and was so much fun.
Did you like them better than Seabourn?
It's pretty close. Unfortunately, the ship we were on, Voyager, is in 1 week going in for refurbishment. So it was kind of like being in a 1970s hotel.
Okay, that's not good.
It was pretty worn out. But the service and the food was excellent, so I figured, well, I'm just in an old hotel.
Right.
But I'm sure once they refurb it, it'll be much, much nicer. Yeah, it was kind of a little ratty. You pay a lot of money, you don't want a ratty hotel. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, your call's coming up. I'm not interrupting the Beatles. Not me. Leo Laporte, I guess I have to. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask. Leo, we're answering your tech questions. Doug is in New York. Hi, Doug. Leo Laporte. Welcome. Get on over the phone there, Douglas.
Hey, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm welcome home in Lanhoy.
Thank you.
I do have a question. A few months ago, you featured the Theta 360.
Yeah, Ricoh makes this. There are actually a lot of them now, 360-degree cameras. I also just got the new one from Samsung, which I'm not going to recommend because you have to have a Galaxy phone to use it. But the idea is these can take still or video images that are immersive so that you can look, you can wear Google Cardboard or, a VR helmet and look around you. And it's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and I could see it exploding a little bit.
Yeah.
Throughout the world, for that matter. But I'm running into an issue. I noticed that the software that I'm using is distributed by Ricoh.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you know of any other software that we can use with this camera.
Yeah, I've seen third-party stitching software. So the software that if you look at the image that you get from all of these cameras, it's not an image you'd want to put up on the internet.
With me in it, that's correct.
Yeah. The image that the Ricoh gives you is just two really super fisheye. They look like little globes. And there's two of them. And one's the front camera, one's the back camera. The Samsung works pretty much the same way. And then the software takes those images and stitches them together, just like panorama software would do, to make a 360-degree sphere, and then does whatever magic it has to do so that you could post that on YouTube or post it on Facebook, and then people can look at it on their screen and mouse around if they want, or they can wear with these helmets and look around. So that's what the software does. There is already, I've seen third-party software for the Theta that does the same thing. What they're doing is not magic. It's not proprietary. It's very well known. It's the same thing that all of these cameras have to do. So, obviously the software would have to understand the Ricoh format. I don't know how unusual that is. I'm trying to remember. I'll have to Google it, but I do remember seeing third-party software. Yeah, the Ricoh software, they do update it frequently. So if you're having trouble with it, just, hang in there. It might get better the next version.
The only issue I'm having is cutting me out of the video.
Oh, you don't want to be in it.
No.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the. Unfortunately, there's no way You can't be in the picture. They do an interesting job of cutting out the camera, by the way, and your hand underneath the camera or whatever the camera's on. But yeah, I know. In fact, I have a lot of Rico videos that I don't like because basically you see my long arm and then me if you're facing that way. So I guess you could snip it so it's not 360, like it's just 180.
Yeah, but then that would remove the value of the photo.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you'd erase yourself. You just take that little wedge of the image that has you in it out. I haven't seen anything that does that. That's news to me. I haven't seen anything that does that. That's part of it, is you're in it. Now, I'll tell you how you do this, by the way, with the Ricoh. And you can do it with the Samsung, too. You can get the app. Okay, so there's apps for iPhone and Android, the Ricoh app, the Theta 360 app, and it has a remote trigger. So what you do is you set up the camera, and then you hide. You go under the table or out of the room and use the app to trigger the photo or video.
Right.
And then you're not in it.
Well, I noticed there was this one video.
What are you, funny looking? You don't want to be in your own videos?
Oh, well, I don't want to tell you how many degrees of that 360 I'm taking up.
You're wide, huh?
Yeah, my body.
Don't be shy. You should. That's part of the fun of it, is seeing everything in the image, including the photographer in the image. Yeah, but you can use this software to trigger it with you out of the image. So put it on a table and get under the table, or you can only go so far before it stops working. But you can usually get out of the room and take a picture, or if you're in the witness protection program, that kind of thing. Put a bag over your head.
That's right.
Yeah, I did. I shot on my last trip last Christmas. A number of 360 videos. They're actually on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Leo Laporte, if you want to see. The problem with the Ricoh is that when you turn it into video, the resolution goes down a little bit.
Drops dramatically.
Yeah, so it's a little smeary. The stills look pretty good. The Samsung is better. It's a higher res camera. But these are all cameras in the $200 to $300 range. The cameras that you spend, like, for instance, Nokia's Ozo, that you spend lots of money for, are much higher resolution. The Ozo is $60,000.
Yeah,
and it still has and you're still in it.
Well, I think yeah, that's right.
So they haven't figured that out either.
I think what's going on now too is they require 60 frames per second.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And these lower retail cameras shoot upwards of 30, 35 a month.
I'll be honest with you, because we've used the Ozo. We've done videos. We did a whole show, one of our Twit podcasts, in 3D with the Ozo 360. And while it is better, it's not so much better that it's worth it's not $60,000 better. I'm really happy with the Theta. And so if you happen to have a Samsung phone, then the Samsung 360, which is, I think it's $350. I think the Ricoh is a little less, $100 less.
Yeah, well, and Nikon's coming out with a new one. They have a new,
everybody's doing it.
360.
Yeah, these will get. This is early days. These will get better.
I know. I'm excited because I can see great potential and wonderful opportunities in this 360 business. It's
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll keep looking for software that lets you edit yourself out, Doug. But post them on YouTube. Share them with the world. I mean, I think it's really fun. Ricoh has also its own 360 site where you can put this stuff up. And that's the other problem with it, is you need a site that understands these image files, because they're not typical image files. But fortunately, Facebook and YouTube both do. And they work with all of the 360-degree cameras. Barry, Northridge, California. So you opted for the replacement Note 7, huh?
Yes.
So I love the Note 7. You remember I highly recommended this phone.
The phone too.
Yeah. It is a great phone. And I immediately exchanged it, even though my phone was with the Chinese battery. But the problem is, we haven't really, I think Samsung, admittedly, they were quick to act. They were very proactive. They've exchanged it, no questions asked, for everybody. They've quickly pushed out a replacement phone. What they haven't been forthright on is what exactly went wrong and how they can be sure it's not going to go wrong again. And I understand your concern, Barry, because we now just hear this story about a guy with a brand new phone like the one you have, and it's sitting in his pocket on a Southwest Airlines flight. It starts to heat up. He takes it out, throws it on the ground, bursts into flames, damages the plane. They have to, it's smoking. They evacuate the plane. Now, the phone is currently in the possession of the fire department there. Samsung wants it. They're going to examine it. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says they're going to do an investigation. What we need to know from Samsung is why, and if this is something to worry about. All phones, all devices with lithium-ion batteries have the potential to do this, but they also have circuitry to prevent it. Why is this happening with the Note 7? And until we know that, I can't give you an answer. Does it heat up?
Not really. The other thing is...
Hold on. I have to take a break. I want to talk more, though, so if you can hang on through the news, please do. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our Tech Guy Show today brought to you by the podcast, brought to you by good friends, a company that we've used for so long, Atlassian. You know, we're big fans of the Atlassian HipChat product. We use that to communicate in the business. We use Jira to keep track of tasks and jobs to get the jobs done. But what we don't use, and I think we're going to have to start using this is awesome, the new Jira Service Desk. It delivers everything your IT team needs out of the box. If you're tired of those clunky support tools that are a pain to use, your IT support can totally be revolutionized with this Jira Service Desk from Atlassian. Jira, J-I-R-A, just like the Jira product. Jira Service Desk is a new service management software that IT teams will love to use, built on the Jira platform. So you'll probably be familiar with this already. I love the Jira platform. But it also lets you give customers an easy way to ask for help. They get an interface. Help your agents be productive, from putting out fires to helping employees get stuff done. You can stay on top of service level agreements with dynamic queues, mobile alerts. You can even automate repetitive tasks so your agents don't have to do the same thing over and over. They can focus on the important stuff. Jira Service Desk. It's easy to use. It's simple to set up. And it's so affordable you won't even need the boss's approval. Try it free right now. Go to Atlassian, ATLASSIAN.com/twit. And the first 100 signups are going to receive a free T-shirt. So go now, Atlassian.com/twit. See why over 20,000 IT teams. It's brand new. They already got 20,000 users. Love Jira Service Desk. Try it free. Atlassian.com/twit. And actually, somebody I think just told me that we just started using it. So I'm going to I haven't played with it yet. I have to find out. Atlassian.com/twit. We thank you for their support of the Tech Guy podcast. Well, hey, Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches. Yes, I'm back from vacation and raring to go. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Legitimate question in the chat room. We're talking about these exploding Samsung Note 7s. Legitimate question in the chat room. Well, you didn't stop buying Fords when the Pintos exploded because they put the gas tank in a vulnerable position in the back. And if you rear-ended a Pinto, I don't know if you remember this, there was a potential that the tank would puncture and explode. And cars, in fact, are driving around with highly explosive, fuel in them. And they do explode from time to time. Doesn't mean you don't drive a car. So our chat room correspondent is saying, well, there's a risk inherent. Doesn't mean you stop buying cars or you stop buying Fords. By the way, his handle is Secret Russian. I don't know what that means. I guess my attitude, this is what I told Barry, our caller, is there's plenty of choices. You have an infinite number of, it seems, choices of Android devices. As good as the Samsung Note 7 is, until we really understand why it's exploding, and Samsung hasn't really explained this, why not get a different phone? Why take the chance? There's still a chance. Barry mentioned that there is at least one incidence of an iPhone exploding. These lithium-ion batteries, if they're punctured, are dangerous. So there's two ways you can have a fire with a lithium-ion battery. One is overcharging, and every well-made device has protection against overcharging. But if you use a bad charger or, maybe the device fails, maybe it would overcharge, overheat, and then explode. But another potential problem is when lithium-ion batteries are punctured, they can also burst into flame. And since the number of these Note 7s apparently were not being charged, that they were just sitting in somebody's pocket and burst into flames, it sounds like there's a bigger problem, a manufacturing issue with the battery itself. And until we know, and Samsung is more forthright about what that is and gives us some certainty that they really have discovered what it is and have fixed it, and now there's some uncertainty about that, why take a chance? Timing was so bad for Samsung. I feel for Samsung because, of course, the week after this all came out and the recall, Apple comes out with a similarly priced iPhone 7. And I would bet a great many people, if not the majority of people who bought Note 7s and replaced them not with another Samsung phone, but with an iPhone. So a windfall for Apple and bad news for Samsung. It also, reasonably worries people. My wife sleeps with the phone under her pillow. She said, maybe I'll stop doing that. Yeah, maybe. But even with the bad Note 7, so-called bad Note 7, your chances, what did Samsung say? I think it was 1 in 31,000 of them had a problem. It seems pretty unlikely. But at the same time, why take a chance if you don't need to? You need to drive a car. Why not buy a phone that's going to do everything that Galaxy phone would do with a reduced risk of exploding? I agree we don't really measure risks well, We were talking about that with Johnny Jett. How my ex-wife was all worried about air travel, and yet we drove to the airport, which was far riskier. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. I just choose not to have a Note 7, and I guess my advice would be not to. Sorry, Samsung. Really bad news for Samsung. Really bad news for Samsung. And I guess good news for the other guys. Cindy on the line from Ventura, California. Hi, Cindy.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. What can I do for you?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I have a Samsung S3.
Yeah.
And I just traded another phone.
Yeah.
A Galaxy Express.
Yeah.
Prime.
Yeah.
Okay. What I need to know is, without going to AT&T, how do I put my phone number in the new phone number?
So you have you mean you want to take your phone number from the S3 and put it in the new Express, or all the phone numbers in your address book?
It's in the address book?
No. You want to keep your phone number.
Yeah, I want to trade one to the other.
Yeah. So you go to your carrier. If AT&T's your carrier, you have to have them do it. It's called number portability. It's mandated by law. So when even if you go to a different carrier, so if you move from one carrier to another, or you get a new phone, in fact, AT&T should have offered you this. Now, normally, if you're on AT&T, if you're on a carrier that uses a SIM card, those are those little chips, just taking the SIM card out of one phone, putting it in the new phone, will take the phone number with it. Problem being that the S3 had a different size SIM. Go into the AT&T store, say, look, I got a new phone. I want to make sure that phone has my old number. They can easily do that. All they have to do is, you have an account with them, is just transfer that over. It's usually, in a modern phone, it's always the SIM card that is the thing that identifies that phone to the phone company and says, this is Cindy's phone, and this is her phone number. It's on the SIM card. It's not on the phone. So moving the SIM card over would do it. And probably what'll have to happen, though, because you got a new phone, is they'll have to give you a new SIM card that fits the new phone. And they just do it in the computer. They do some typing, and they say, now it's the right number. Abraham in Banning, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Abraham.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I hope you don't hear too much of an echo here.
Yeah, a little echoey, but I can live with it. What's up?
Well, my Windows 7 computer crashed, and I'm using a Windows 10 laptop, but I'm having an issue getting two screens or two monitors to work on the same machine using Windows 10.
So the laptop has a connector for a second monitor, an external monitor?
Yeah, it does. I'm using the HDMI.
Yeah. So most laptops have on the function key, one of the function keys is mapped to the setting to mirror or extend the screen. So all Windows 10 handles multiple screens, no problem. If your laptop has a connector for an external screen, it handles multiple screens, no problem. In fact, most laptops do, because that's a common use of the laptop. You get to the conference room and you want to do a PowerPoint presentation. You plug in the projector. You can see on your screen on the laptop what they're seeing on the big screen. Almost all laptops do that. That's a very common use for that. And if it has an external monitor port, it can do it. The trick is to tell the laptop how you want to handle that second screen. And as I said, there's two choices. You can have it mirrored, which is, just like it sounds, the external screen is exactly the same as the internal screen. It's a mirror of the internal screen. A lot of people do that for presentations and stuff, but PowerPoint also lets you have it extended. That is, you now have two screens. And the reason you might want that on PowerPoint is you'll have a presentation screen on the big screen and your presenter's screen on the little screen. So you can see what the next slide's going to be before they see it. You can see your notes, things like that. Often on a laptop, and I bet this is the problem since it's a new laptop to you, you borrowed it, there's a function key that lets you switch around. Look for that. Otherwise, you go in the display preferences and you should be able to do it there. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's me. 8888 Ask Leo. If you have questions, comments, suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. Lisa's on the line from Costa Mesa, California. Our next caller. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, except I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a Chromebook, which I love because I don't do that much on the computer and, shop and check my mail and Facebook and stuff like that.
Yay! I've been telling everybody, forget the Mac and the PC, get a Chromebook.
Exactly. My husband got it for me for Christmas 2 years ago, and actually, he's on it more than I am, and I'm mostly on my mini iPad. I wish I would have gotten a bigger iPad, but it works okay.
But those are both great solutions, much less complexity, and they do what you want to do, right?
Exactly. Well, the question that I have is my son had been using it on vacation, and he liked it, but I went to Fry's, and they had something called the Acer Cloudbook, and it says that it's a Celeron N3050. It has Windows 10 and Windows 10 Office for a year, I guess. What's the difference between a Cloudbook and a Chromebook?
It's the operating system. The Cloudbook is a Windows 10 laptop. Don't get that. Acer, well, unless you need Windows. So I'm glad you brought this up because it's become a standard rant of mine. For years, you really had just a couple of choices. If you wanted to use a computer, you had to have a general purpose operating system. Windows, Macintosh, Linux, CPM. But you had an operating system that could do anything. Because these were very, very expensive and they were really aimed at, a kind of more sophisticated marketplace. But as the world has changed and computers have matured, and mostly as the internet has kind of moved forward, we've discovered that most of what we do is not really on the computer. Most of what we do is on the browser, on the internet. In fact, for most people, email, surfing the web, buying things online, most of what you do, almost all of what you do is in the browser. Very few people need a general purpose operating system anymore. And if you're one of them, you should know. Maybe you're a gamer, for instance. Well, we probably want a Windows PC. If you are launching rocket ships or designing cars, you probably want a computer that has a general purpose operating system so you can run high-end software. But those are very limited, small number of people. They know that they need it, and more importantly, they're going to either have IT support or take the time to learn how to keep the computer secure and running properly. They're going to be willing to put up with the problems that the complexity of a general purpose operating system. The rest of us shouldn't be buying that. Unless you need it, you should be buying a simple operating system that does what you want it to do. Chromebooks, tablets, particularly the iPad, are a perfect example of this. They don't have the security issues of a general purpose operating system at all. They're highly secure. They don't have the reliability issues. They don't get all confused. And in general, they're a lot less expensive because you're not paying for all of the, options, the doohickeys, the bells and whistles, the general computer. So I think you're right to get a Chromebook. If your son doesn't need Windows 10, if he says, "Oh no, Mom, I'm going to be gaming," that's different. But if he loves your Chromebook and he's doing the stuff he needs to do on the Chromebook, and even many students, by the way, the Chromebooks are taken off like crazy in schools because they're easily managed, easily maintained, they're less expensive, and students can use them. They get a full keyboard. Now the good news is there are some really good newer Chromebooks coming out. Acer makes one, the 15-inch. It's just fantastic. Dell has a very good one. HP has some very good ones. These are higher-end hardware, which I like. The reason, you need higher-end hardware if you're running Windows is because a general-purpose operating system uses up more cycles. It has to have more power. So Chromebooks generally, one of the reasons they're less expensive, they don't need as much memory. They don't need as fast a processor. They don't need as much storage. So they're simpler machines, too. They're less expensive for that reason. I'd say unless your son knows he wants Windows, get a Chromebook. Acer makes them. Lots of companies make them. I would look online as well. Amazon's #1 selling computer now is category is Chromebooks, easily. They're huge. Chromebooks outsold Macintosh in the last quarter. It's fantastic. But every time I say this, people go, I need. If you need it, you know you need it. If you need Windows, you need a Mac, you know you need it, and you know that you have now a responsibility to become a security expert and to maintain it. That's fine. For the rest of the world, a Chromebook is a very, very good choice. And you're going to see a lot more choices. Now, what's interesting with the Chromebooks, and the reason I want you to get a newer one for your son, is Google has just added the capability to put the Android store on it, and it will run most Android apps. Suddenly, this has gone from being a device that will only run browser plugins and browser to a device that can run millions of apps designed for Android platform. And that means now there's a huge variety of stuff you can do, including some very, very good games, by the way. And the way they've implemented Android on the Chromebook, in my opinion, makes it secure and safe. So maybe you've heard about some malware issues on Android phones. These are not going to affect your Chromebook. And if anything goes wrong on a Chromebook, it has a nice feature called Power Wash that takes it back to the way it was. And because you're logged into your Google account when you use a Chromebook, it not only takes it back to the way it came from the factory, but it then adds all the modifications, all the apps, everything you installed. It puts it right back to the way it was. And it does it very quickly. Save money, save complexity, save your hair. Don't tear out your hair. I think a Chromebook is an excellent choice.
So when will the new Chromebooks be coming out? Do you have any idea?
They're out now.
Okay.
They're out now. Just the thing to ask when you get one or to look is to make sure that it has the latest Chrome OS and that can run Android apps. You really want the Android App Store.
Okay, I want to make sure that it can run the Android App Store, and it has to be like a newer one in the last couple of months.
Yeah, and as I said, Acer has a very good one. Samsung has some very good ones. Your Best Buy may not have all of the choices. That's why I think it's a good idea to look online, too.
Okay.
I'm so glad you called. Yeah, don't get a Windows machine.
No, yeah, he keeps giving me a birthday list, and I'm like, no, I'm definitely getting your Chromebook.
Does he know he wants Windows because he wants to do something that requires Windows?
No, that was just my question, because I saw, when I was at Fry's, I saw a Chromebook and a CloudBook, and I'm like, what is a CloudBook?
Yeah, it's a Windows machine.
Yeah, okay.
It's a cheap Windows machine. I don't recommend them, even if you need to use Windows.
Okay, yeah, because he has a regular laptop, so.
Yeah, he can always use that if he needs to.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thanks for the call.
I enjoy hearing about your trip. It's all been very interesting about the phone and everything.
Yeah, I think it's good if you ever travel. It's good to know. T-Mobile really has been a great companion.
Yes, T-Mobile, we had it when we went on vacation. My husband, I switched him to T-Mobile, and we're still on Verizon. And he had data when we went to Germany, so it's great.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my wife and son to switch to T-Mobile, too.
Yeah, well,
They were fighting all the time because he's 13. He'd watch YouTube videos. He'd use up all her data. She had 10 gigabytes a month. He'd use it up, and Verizon would say, well, that'll be, $1,000 or whatever. And I said, just look, get T-Mobile. It's unlimited. So we're all T-Mobile now.
T-Mobile has a lot to offer.
I agree.
All right, thank you, Leo.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay,
Take care.
bye-bye.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, making up for lost time, taking your calls here. Let's go to Marty in Anaheim, California. He's next. Hi, Marty.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling in.
Gosh, I try to formulate my question as best as possible.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, I've got an older phone, but it's not old. It's a Samsung Galaxy 5S. I've had no issues prior to an accidental update. I hate doing that because then I have problems. So this is what happened. Now I can't send pictures. Actually, on occasion I can, but rare. And it says message size limit reached.
Yeah.
And I called Verizon, went to Verizon Text 1 and 2, and I felt not very confident on where they were sending me to. It felt like I was going to lose a lot of information. So here's my question. Why did that happen? And what do I need to do other than a hard reset and possibly losing my pictures and without going to the cloud and doing all that stuff? Is there anything I could do prior to a hard reset for me to be able to send pictures and receive, or actually just send pictures?
It's kind of ironic because this limit is not set by Samsung. It's set by Verizon.
Gotcha.
So they limit you to 300 to 600 kilobytes, which is tiny for an image. And, of course, that phone can do, what is it, an 8-megapixel camera? That phone can do much larger images.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm sorry that the techs were so ill-informed.
Yes, they were.
This is just a carrier limit. So it's just varies depending on who your carrier is. Lots of phone operating systems will, for instance, the iPhone will say, well, that's an awful big picture. You sure you want to send it full size? And they'll offer you a variety of sizes. Android, I think, generally does something similar. I'm not sure why all of a sudden yours stopped doing that. What should happen is the program you're using, I don't know if is it Messages? What are you using to send these?
It's just Messages. It's one with this like red icon.
Yeah. What it should do is it should see the original, which is probably a megabyte or more, and say, I got to squeeze that before I can send it, and do it automatically. It'll be a smaller image, and not smaller physically, but it'll be a smaller file size, and it will be lower quality. But that's
fine.
Yeah. That's the limit that Verizon puts on there.
Now, here's the odd thing: is I was actually just on my phone. I avoided this update for like 9 months because something like this something like this always happens after an update. It's super glitchy, and the younger guys, if you will, they say, "Oh, it's time to get a new phone." I said, "No,
no, you shouldn't have to get a new phone."
No problem.
Now, I'm going to say one thing here. Really, when you get an update on an Android device, you should take it, because there have been security issues, and Google's now started adopting monthly updates, much like Microsoft does, right, on Windows. And you really want those monthly updates. Samsung has pledged, as has LG, and of course Google as well, to get those updates out as fast as possible. Your carrier's involved too, and they can slow it down.
Okay.
I don't know if Verizon's policy is on that, but you do. In other words, you do want to do the updates. I hate to say it, but you're running a risk if you don't.
Gosh, I will definitely do that. Now, is there any way for me to be able to send pictures again? Because again, I went up to Tech 2, and he just
squeeze them. You can squeeze them before you send them, so you can download. I love Snapstream, for instance, and you can make them smaller. The other thing you could do, and you might want to do this at this point. This is an older phone. You can take the S5 and put a better operating system on it. There are third-party operating systems, not Samsung's but third-party operating systems that are quite good. And as Android phones get older, if you go, here's where you want to go to find out what's possible.
Okay.
It's xda-developers.com. The XDA Developers is a forum where Android enthusiasts hang out. You'll be able to search for your phone. You want to search for the exact model by number. So you go to the About phone and you find out what your model is, whatever, 910, N910U or whatever it is. And that's the model you want to search for. And see, if it's possible to modify it. What it requires is unlocking the bootloader, rooting it, replacing the recovery firmware, and then choosing ROMs. And there's usually, especially as a phone gets older, Android phone gets older, a large variety of possible ROMs. Some of them will not have, most of them will not have these limits. They'll allow you to sell full-size.
Unfortunately, you've exceeded my abilities. What you
I know, this is a very geeky thing to do. It's a very geeky thing to do. I mean, the other option is, as you mentioned, resetting the phone, but that doesn't guarantee if this change, and I'm just looking on Verizon forums for this message size limit reached, it's all over the forums. Because this is a Verizon thing.
Wow.
And you can't send a full-size image over MMS, over text messaging.
Wow, that's funny because I did not have an issue whatsoever. And again, I happened to be typing that the thing popped up and I accidentally punched it and it started up.
My guess is it wasn't the update that did it, but Verizon that did it. So do a Google on message size limit reached Verizon, and you'll see what I mean.
I'll do that, Leo.
Yeah.
You're a very good man. You know what? If anything, you made it more of a pleasant experience just knowing that I'm having.
You know what? We're all suffering with technology. This is the way it is, Marty. And the whole reason I've been doing this show for 25 years is because we need to kind of hang together.
There you go.
Right? Because the industry isn't hanging in there for us. We got to do it. Users got to do it for themselves.
Very good. I like it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Marty. Take care. Yeah. I do really, increasingly, I'm starting to think that, don't be a Verizon customer, as you just heard earlier. And B, if you're going to get an Android phone, and I still love the Android operating system. I really love it. I love the things you can do with it. It'd be best not to I would get one from Google, to be honest. I'd get the Nexus. That's what they're selling right now. And the Pixels just came out. They'll be shipping October 20th. Although I think if you order now, they're sold out already. I think you'll get it November. And some carriers, including Verizon, are going to sell the Pixel, but this is really annoying. Verizon has already said, yeah, we'll sell you the new Google phone, sure, but we don't guarantee we'll keep it up to date. Oh, thanks, Verizon. So don't get it from Verizon. Get it from Google, and frankly, get a better carrier. I'm underwhelmed by Verizon's support of its users. This is, you know what, these companies, Verizon used to be NYNX, used to be a big Bell company. AT&T, same thing. These companies have a state of mind, essentially, of monopolies. They're still back in the Ma Bell era. We don't have to care about users. We're too big to have to care about users. That's why I like going with, say, Sprint or T-Mobile, because they're also RANs. When you're number 2, remember the old Avis slogan? You try harder. If you're number 4, you really have to try harder. And who's trying the hardest out there right now? In the United States, it's T-Mobile. They're very competitive because they're trying to beat AT&T and Verizon. Now, I can tell you, as they get bigger, they're getting worse. And if they reach the size of AT&T or Verizon, they'll probably be just as bad. I used to say that about Apple. Apple's good because they're so small compared to Microsoft. But I warned folks. I said, as soon as Apple's as big as Microsoft, forget it, all bets are off. And you know what? It happened. It happened. At some point, you get so big, you don't have to worry about your users, I guess. 8888, Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our last segment in the Gizwiz coming up. Our show today, look at, I'm talking about Epson. Our show today brought to you by those great folks at Epson. They make so many great products. I was talking about the Fast Photo earlier, their new scanner. And, of course, let's not forget those amazing EcoTank printers. have transformed the whole notion of what inkjet printing is all about. This is cartridge-free printing. They instead of cartridges, they use an amazing, innovative, refillable ink tank. This is the kind of innovation where this is a company that cares about users. This is what users want, right? You don't want to have, right in the middle of a print job, have to run out and get cartridges. When you get the Epson EcoTank printers, you get up to 2 years of ink with the printer in the box. We bought the 4550. I love it. The ET 4550 has 11,000 black pages or 8,500 color pages of ink in the box. And when I go buy ink in the year 2018, I'll be saving up to 80% with the low-cost replacement bottles. So that's nice. And, of course, it's a great printer powered by the precision core technology I've talked about so many times with auto two-sided printer, super crisp black and white text, vivid colors, 30-page auto document feeder that actually works. Every time I use it, I hold my breath because I remember the old days of the document feeders, and they just mangle your document. And I forget this thing. No, it just works. It works every time. It's so awesome. I scanned to Google Cloud. You could scan to the cloud. You could print from your wireless devices. The other day, I literally brand new iPhone. I thought, well, I wonder, can I print? Yeah, print it right to it. That's awesome. 2016 Small Biz Windows Printer of the Year, CES 2016 Innovation Awards honoree. Of course, it's the EcoTank printers. Epson.com/EcoTank if you want to learn more. Transform the way your home, office, or work group prints. For the best combination of ease and value, turn to the Epson EcoTank printers, epson.com/EcoTank, and we thank them for making this podcast possible. Epson, exceed your vision. There must be some way out of here, said the Gizwiz to the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Here he is from Disneyland in beautiful downtown New York, New York. Dick DeBartolo. He's Mad Magazine's maddest writer, but he's also our Gizwiz. He brings us gadgets. Hey, I got to ask you.
Yes.
Did Lin-Manuel Miranda ever come to Mad Magazine and take that tour?
No, no. But at least we've met in person.
The star of Hamilton, and you did meet him. Yeah.
Yes, I did meet him, and he was gracious, and it was super. We had a lot of fun. And when he was introducing me to other members of the cast who had left, he kept saying to them, "Do you know who this guy is?"
That's what I say every time I introduce you. Do you know who this guy is?
Do you know who those guys? Do you know who those guys?
I don't know who this guy is. Who is this guy? He's been following me around. I've known Dick for 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And you've always been a gadget hound, but the quality of the gadgets has changed over time.
It has.
Yes. What do you got for us?
I have some fun stuff. So while you were gallivanting around the world,
yes,
I went out to Interbike, which is a show in Las Vegas that has every conceivable kind of bike, electric bike, folding bike.
I'm very interested in this. And, you go to Europe, you go to Copenhagen or Amsterdam. There are bike paths everywhere, and everybody bicycles. It's remarkable. In Copenhagen, there are more bicycles in the city than there are people. The average Copenhagen resident has 2 bicycles, one for work, one for play. They love them, and a lot of electric bikes. I saw, the city bikes that they do in Manhattan, those are pedal bikes. But in Copenhagen, they rent electric bikes.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no matter what you drive, also a fantastic amount of accessories.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite was the VisiJacks for visible jacket. So if you are out biking and you want to be seen, this has 23 high-intensity LEDs.
Wow.
But listen to this. At the back, there are flashing red lights down at the bottom of the jacket, so someone coming up from the back can see you. If you want to make a turn and you raise your arm, your jacket lights up in the direction you're going.
Oh, that's hysterical. It's a signal, a blinker.
It's a signal. It's a blinker. It's turn signals.
Oh, that's hysterical.
It is very, very well done.
This is a good idea, though, because let's face it, in a car-bicycle accident, the car's going to win. Doesn't matter who's in the right. The car's going to win, so you want them to see you.
No, absolutely. And so it's charge it via USB. Once you charge it, it runs for 20 hours.
Yeah.
And it's DuPont coated fabric. And the great thing, Leo, it is selling for $83.
Oh, wow.
So it's called the commuter jacket from VisiJacks. There you go.
So it's not,
That's
you're
what it
not lit
looks
up
like.
all over. It's a regular jacket, but it has LEDs in the arm and stuff so that people can see.
In the arm and in the back. And also it has 3 in the front so
Nice.
that you
So you're
that
not,
stay on
you're
all
not
the
like
time.
a giant glowing human floating down the road. No.
No.
Yeah.
But I wish I were.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So it's very clever, very reasonably priced, and it's also
do they have
on Amazon
kid sizes?
for
Because
$83.
I think kids
You
should
know
get
what?
these
I
too.
think I know they have 4 adult sizes, so maybe the small would also fit a kid.
What
but
a
I'm not
great
sure.
idea! What a great, and they're showing somebody in their video riding the New York city bikes, and I'd be very nervous in Paris or New York riding one of these bikes. But if you, at least with the lights, people can see you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that when they run
so-
you down, they know where your body is. They find it right away.
Hey, you know that guy I just ran down? He
He's
was
over there
turning
blinking.
left.
In Amsterdam, our guide told us if you hit a bicyclist, doesn't matter who is in the wrong, you lose. You
Really?
lose. They're very protective of their bicyclists. Bravo. I think that's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the city bike program is like rampant here. They are putting in more and more. People love it.
Yeah. I think it was Copenhagen. They didn't have city bike because our guide said, well, everybody has a bike. What do you need to rent one for? There's no market.
That's good.
I think riding a bike is great. And the only reason I don't do more of it is because it's so dangerous in traffic. So this helps. Of course, bike paths everywhere, like they have in Amsterdam, would help even more.
That would be good.
Isn't
That
it
would be
wonderful?
great.
When they build a road, they build a little road next to it. It's got a curb and everything, and that's where the bicyclists go. And you better not, as a pedestrian, you better not wander into that road because they yell at you. Get out of my way! Only they say it in Dutch, so it's and then you jump. This is, you can find out more, VISIJAX, VisiJacks, and as you said, they're on Amazon.
Yep.
It's good. This is very good. Dickie D is at his website, gizwiz.biz. Best way to find out about anything he mentions in the show is to go there, giz.wiz. There's no dot, I'm sorry, gizwiz.biz. There's one dot. You click the GizWiz visits the tech guy, and you get all the stuff. But while you're there, do the What the Heck Is It game, because that's fun. You can win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Are we coming close? Is it Halloween that this wraps up?
It does.
So a couple more weeks to identify this mini snow shovel or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll get a copy of the December issue of Mad Magazine.
Nice. It's always a lot of fun. You also should catch Dick's podcast because he talks about gadgets with Chad Johnson. How did you have your event?
The meetup was last week. We
How
had
did
a
that
lot
go?
of fun. It went very well. Boat Basin Cafe. Chad flew in, and we had a great time. We did a little periscoping, and so it was great.
Oh, good. All right. Well, thank you, Dickie D. We'll talk again next week. Gizwiz.biz for more. Last call of the day from Trinity, Texas, Katrina. Hi, Katrina.
Hi, Leo.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Longtime fan since the G4 days.
Wow. That's been a long time.
Yes,
Well,
it has.
thank you.
I'm hoping you can explain the smart TV box or the game consoles where people watch TV on it.
Yeah.
When you turn off the satellite and cable, is it just the same, and what does it cost?
It's not just the same. The idea of a smart TV just means it has software on it that you can watch TV from the internet as well as from your cable or the antenna. And the internet has a lot of programming. Of course, you know about Netflix, there's iTunes and Google, and you can rent TV shows and rent movies, buy movies. All of that will stream in over the internet if you have sufficient internet bandwidth. It's very important you have a good internet connection for this because it uses a lot of bandwidth. But the other issue is it isn't the same. And where people go, oh, no, is you don't get the live local TV stations. You don't get Channel 4 and 5 and 7. You don't get the Oscars. You don't get the Super Bowl. There's a lot of stuff that isn't on the internet. The best way to use this is to have an antenna. If you're close, I don't know if Trinity's close to the big city, but if you can get the big city channels by an antenna, then you'll get all that, and then you can supplement it with the internet.
Yeah, it's not very good out here.
Yeah,
But
that's
I saw something online yesterday called Wi-Fly, WIFLI, and it claimed that you could get local channels, premium television, movies, reviews, sports.
Watch out. The local channels from Latvia. Unless you're, a lot of these guys are not telling the exact truth. Be very cautious. Find out which local channels. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts. For this show, we talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.